Hello there, welcome back to the Agostino Zinga Show with your host, Agostino Zinga, and this is episode number 880. That is Ocho Ocho Zero with your host, Agostino Zinga, coming at you live and direct from an undisclosed location somewhere within the depths of East London. How you doing? How you feeling? Great, amazing. How am I? Fantastic. As you can tell via my face, if you're watching this via YouTube, if you're not watching via YouTube, what are you doing? Jump over to the YouTube at Tazs, on YouTube to find me. I have just applied a very, very generous helping of Korean skincare. I just got it delivered this morning. I spent £60, nearly £60 on re-upping my monthly, my sometimes bi-monthly, no, but sometimes twice monthly, right? Korean skincare regimen, and I just applied some of that now on my face, and it's looking fantastic. Don't get me wrong, I've always had pretty decent skin. Usually if I get spots, it's usually because I've just been eating terribly and I had like a bad week where I was like consuming loads of fast food and pastries and that malarkey. You'll see little pops, whatever. But for the most part, I've avoided having acne and everything else. When I did have eczema when I was a kid, mostly got only on my legs really. I'd got a lot of eczema when I was a kid. That's kind of that's completely cleared away. I was really lucky I didn't get any eczema on my hands or my face, even though I used to be an aggressive fucking scratcher. But I've been quite fortunate that my face has been, left somewhat untouched, And with the Korean skincare, on top of already having good genetics, on top of already being black, it's definitely given me some a HD smooth complexion. Now look at my forehead. Look at how shiny and reflective my forehead is. Like legitimately, you can see your own reflection in my forehead. Depending on what angle I sit at, you can see your own reflection in my forehead. Absolutely insane. So if you're on the fence about Korean skincare, please do not jump on it. It's a little bit expensive, it's a little bit tedious, doing it in the morning, doing it in the evening, having your regimen. But once you get into it, like me, honestly, it's easy. There's tons of YouTube videos out there to assist you and shit and what to do. It's really, really, really good, and I recommend it for everybody that wants to give themselves a little bit of a free upgrade. I mean, if you don't have the funds to fucking install, some filler in your face, hack your jaw, do this buccal fat removal, the least you can do is make sure that you have decent enough skin. Even if you're balding, fuck the balding, shave the head off, get a nice beard trim, and make sure your skin is looking fucking nice by sprinkling some Korean skincare magic all over it. Like I said, it's very expensive. Don't get me wrong. The mucus, I bought some snail mucus that I use on my face serum, and that already was like £20. Like, the prices are insane, but it needs to be done. Anyways, let's continue. Thank you for joining me on the #1 cultural commentary podcast. Today's not going to be a super long pod because I'm traveling later today. I'm heading up to Birmingham, and I'll be back later on this evening. Or no, maybe later tomorrow, depending on how the day goes. I'm going up to the failed state that is Birmingham. So let's see how I go on with that one. But I thought I'll quickly jump on here and let you guys know what's happening in culture. So strap on, strap in, get yourself a nice little drink, and let's dive on in straight away. First things first to talk about. Absolutely heartbreaking news. A story that's developing right now in real time. Really kind of made me sad actually reading it, especially when you read the details. Absolutely heartbreaking. R.I.P. to the legendary and the great actor Gene Hackman. I legitimately, just the other day, was watching Enemy of the State with him and fucking Will Smith. He's been in a ton of things. An amazing actor, amazing range. Just a real presence on the screen. And unfortunately, he has passed away. It says Gene Hackman and his wife have been found dead at their home. The Oscar-winning actor and his wife, Betsy Arakawa, 63, have been found dead at their home in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Police have said. Santa Fe Sheriff Office told the Sky Sports News, we do not believe Sky News, not Sky Sports News, we don't believe foul play was a factor in their deaths. However, the exact cause of death has not been determined at this time. Local reports suggest that the couple died along with their dogs. We'll have the latest later on. So immediately from what I've been seeing on social media, a bunch of people are hypothesizing that if it's not, I hope it's not what we're all thinking it is, and he unalived himself along with his wife. If it's not that, then a bunch of people are suggesting that it could be some sort of carbon monoxide thing. because I think a lot of people have been having that sort of issues in those sort of homes around New Mexico anyway. I think there was a couple of articles I remember seeing. Oh no, I think a couple of articles or headlines I think I may have saw online with people suffering from carbon monoxide poisoning. So that could be the reason why. Not too sure what's happened, but absolutely tragic news, really tragic. RIP to Gene Hackman. There's a lot of people here paying tributes to him. Culture Sky News on this updates link. It says Irish comedian Dara O'Brien says, Gene Hackman, the finest on-screen actor ever, I think. Not a single duff performance. Agree with that one. In a long, long career, and the best delivery ever of a single word when he says cigars in Young Frankenstein. A lot of people paying tribute to him. Studio Canal paying tribute to him. What police have said so far, investigations are ongoing. The police says, all I can say is that we're in the middle of a preliminary investigation, waiting on approval for a search warrant. We do not believe foul play is the factor. So if there's not foul play, then that's assuming that he hasn't been murdered or anything. And here's some pictures of his legendary performances over the years. You got Gene Hackman in Unforgiven, which is a great movie. In Crimson Tide with Denzel Washington, when he was fucking amazing. Oh yeah, true. He was in fucking Christopher Reeve's Superman, The Quest for Peace. Obviously, Enemy of the State, which I watched the other day with Will Smith. He absolutely killed it. Behind Enemy Lines, he was good as well. Like, he is really, really amazing actor, man. Honestly. RIP to Gene Hackman. This is by a woman called Bethany Minnelli, who's an arts and entertainment reporter. She said, to many, he will always be Superman villain Lex Luthor. But with a career spanning 6 decades, Gene Hackman's acting career was as varied as long. A former Marine, his work on screen began in 1961, and he would go on to appear in over 80 movies, as well as performances on Broadway. Bloody hell, man! What a CV! What a fucking what a archive of performances he left behind. 80 movies. Working his way up from small television roles to a movie leading man, his most iconic performance was a New York City detective Jimmy Popeye Doyle in The French Connection, and surveillance expert Harry Cole in Francis Ford Coppola, The Conversation. Decorated for multiple Oscars, BAFTAs, and Golden Globes over his career, he would step away from acting in 2004. In more recent years, Hackman had pivoted into writing, a pursuit he said he suited his solitary nature, publishing his 3 historical novels. Wow, okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know he wrote some novels on history. I'm going to have to check those out. He retired from acting in 2004. Wow, man. And his name's still been ringing bells. R.I.P. Gene Hackman, man. R.I.P. Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman starred as a villain Lex Luthor in 3 Superman films. You can see there. Entertainment journalist Caroline Frost said he means something to everybody. Agreed. He sums up an era because he was the best at the time when films were both intelligent and big budget. Frost also says Hackman went straight to strength, mainly down to his acting versatility, playing such a vast variety of roles. There was nothing he couldn't do. Agree on that one. Definitely agree. 100% agree. His work will live on. Big up George Takei. We have lost one of the true giants of the screen. Gene Hackman could play anyone. You could feel the whole life behind it. He could be everyone and no one, a towering presence or an everyday Joe. That's how powerful an actor he was. He'll be missed, but his work will live on. Agree with that one, 100%. What's that one? Gene Hackman was an extraordinary actor who toned his craft, says a journalist here, Wilfred Frost. He turned down a lot of plum roles. He was choosy, but he was always had a quality and a sense of center that the best actors had. He also says that he was an extraordinary actor who owned his craft his entire life. He seemed to have a sense of what a good role was for him, not that he was director or producer. Looking at his 1971 movie, The French Connection, for which he won an Oscar, Kiranovich says, if you haven't seen it, go ahead and see it. It's a performance that lingers in the memory. It affects the films today, and it's always referring to him when they make films today. Okay, cool. I haven't watched that, actually. I haven't watched a lot of Francis Ford Coppola movies, I've got to be honest, so I'll definitely try and check that one out. What's that? The Conversation with Gene Hackman. But literally, I just legitimately watched Enemy of the State the other day. Clint Eastwood also paid tribute to him. Happy 95th birthday. A month ago. R.I.P. God almighty, man. Yeah, so and this is him with Robin Williams. A few other articles of him performing a pioneering drag role in The Birdcage. Among Gene Hackman's notable films was 1966 comedy film The Birdcage, which also starred Robin Williams and Nathan Lanes. The film followed the story of a gay couple whose son wishes to marry a daughter of a conservative senator, played by Hackman, who in one scene appears in drag. Talking about the film, critic Amon Warman told Sky's Wilfred Frost, it's a sign of his ability to be ahead of the time in this regard. We obviously came a long way in terms of LGBT representation on screen. It wasn't always that way, and so to be in a position to make it, that decision just goes to show his character. Warman said, Hackman's list of credentials was incredible, and he brought a lot of versatility to his roles. So yeah, RIP to Gene Hackman, man. An absolute legend on and off the screen. Legit, some absolutely fantastic performances that will go and live on way beyond his death. Really tragic the way he passed away. They're saying they found him alongside his wife and his dog dead at their Santa Fe home, hoping it's nothing malicious or crazy, like unaliving himself. Hopefully that would be super tragic. Hopefully it's just a freak accident, which won't make it better, but you know, as a fan of his, you know, you don't want to see him go out in that way. But RIP regardless, your legend will live on. RIP to Gene Hackman. RIP to Gene Hackman. Okay, continuing on. I wanted to touch upon those Yeezy articles. Remember I talked to you about there was a Yeezy article courtesy of my guy Louis Pisano. He's been writing these exposés on what it's like to work at Yeezy. They're called the Yeezy Confidentials. I read part 1 the other day on the last podcast, so I'm going to be reading part 2. And essentially this is like blowing the lid open on what it's like to work at Yeezy. Now, to be fair, part 1 wasn't really that mind-blowing, I'm not gonna lie. I think most of us could assume what it's like to work for Kanye, right? Based on how he acts on social, based on how he acts in public, based on the things that he said, you could assume what it's like to work behind the scenes. But I think this particular part, if I'm not mistaken, I think features a lot more involvement from Bianca Censori and her involvement, and the fact that, from what I've been able to surmise, reading between, you know, just in life in general, if someone's a cunt, like if there's a couple and there's one person who's the cunt of the couple, usually you're like, oh my God, how's the nice person with that cunt? But in life, I've realized that most likely the other person who you think is nice is also a covert cunt. They usually rub off on each other. We've seen it happening with this Blake Lively girl, right? And Ryan Reynolds. I think a lot of people had a lot of nice things to say about Ryan Reynolds, but when this Blake Lively drama has been kicking off, everyone's been wondering, how the fuck could Ryan Reynolds be with her? But then obviously as this investigation, trial, whatever the case, they're going through this lawsuit, it's now been uncovered. You're now hearing a lot of things about Ryan Reynolds' involvement in Blake Lively's drama and how he's been kind of, you know, assisting and helping her in some of her malicious actions allegedly. So that goes to show you that even if somebody appears to be pretty decent and laid back and chill, if they're with somebody that's crazy, most likely they are crazy themselves, but they just do a better job at keeping it hidden. So I think Bianca Censori is the same. She looks the way she looks. She's very cheery, very smiley, bubbly. Whenever that she's out with Kanye, she seems to be the one that's like more approachable, all this malarkey. But if she's with Kanye and she's married to the man, most likely she has a little bit of, you know, she has a sprinkling, a little salt-based sprinkle of crazy herself. So let's see what happens here. This is courtesy of Louis Pisano. Make sure you follow him. He's really good follow when it comes to insights in fashion and gossip and all that sort of stuff. So give him a follow. There's his profile. Check him out. He's absolutely amazing. So this is the article courtesy of his Substack called Yeezy Confidential Part 2. Let's see what you're saying. For many employees working at Yeezy, initially felt like an exciting opportunity. The former Yeezy senior designer recalled, at the beginning it was really amazing, but it was terrible for my health. As time passed, the allure faded, replaced by chaos, mistreatment, and relentless demands. On Thanksgiving 2021, according to the former Yeezy senior designer, the entire Yeezy architecture team, including Bianca Censori, was abruptly fired. Wow. Ye fired his own wife at one point. Snappers alleged that Kim Kardashian discovered Kanye was having an affair with Bianca while they were attempting to reconcile. That same night, Bianca was reportedly telling people at Los Angeles house party that she planned to cancel Kanye West. Whoa. Okay. Yeah, I remember. So this was around the time when Kanye was trying to win Kim back. She looked like she was out of the door. By the way, God bless Kim Kardashian. I never thought I'd ever say that in my life, but God bless Kim Kardashian. Imagine what she had to put up with. Like, if I'm not mistaken, in the timeline of Kanye, didn't she get with Kanye when he was like creative genius launching Yeezy, and then she had to be with him during his like Christian phase. No swearing on songs, Sunday service nonsense, culty church thing going on there, and then towards the end, you know, the right wing grift thing happened. I think she was with Kanye over those 3 different sort of like eras or personality changes. Imagine, bro. God bless fucking Kim Kardashian having to be with Kanye during that time. That must have been crazy. That was his peak bipolar times, peak crash out times, crying about Northwest not being aborted, wearing a bulletproof vest, like trying to run for president. Oh, she went through a lot, man. And I remember that time, I think Kanye was trying desperately to get back with her, but she wasn't having it, which is understandable. And I think most guys know that as well. Like when women turn it off for you, it's off. I think most guys need to get that through their head. Trust me, I've been there before. Where you try and rescue a situation, it's not coming back. It's not coming back. When women decide to move on, they moved on. They close that door. But I guess he was also fucking Bianca on the side before they got together, which makes sense because when they got married, I was like, that was quick. Usually when somebody leaves one relationship and gets married straight away, there's usually some overlap. It's very rarely that you start meeting this person freshly off the back of a divorce or a breakup. Usually you've been seeing them during the time that you were going through your issues with that other person, which I think is odd, really, personally. When you're going through, I don't know, for me personally, if I'm going through relationship problems, the last thing I want to do is get another relationship, you know? But I'm also not a wife guy. I think Kanye is a wife guy. Although he's crazy, I think he's a wife guy. I don't think he cheats. I don't think he does that sort of. I think he loves being in relationships and loves, you know, he loves to love. So that might be a reason why. But let's continue. Meanwhile, the former senior Yeezy designer returned to France in December 2021, distancing themselves from the growing instability at Yeezy. The following year, Yeezy employees began experiencing increasing levels of workplace harassment. In text reviewed by the journalist, a female Yeezy designer recorded an incident of sexual assault from a colleague known as Z, who who cornered her in a workplace. He just came into the trailer when I was alone and came up behind me, pushing himself into me, hugging me and kissing my neck. Ugh. She declined to comment for this story. Yeah, that's a little bit too much, bro. God almighty, at work. Yo, that is wild. Where's HR, bro? Where's Yeezy HR? Where's fucking Heron Preston? I think he might be Yeezy HR. Assistants were also subjected to inappropriate conduct. After modeling agencies refused to work with Yeezy following the infamous White Lives Matter controversy, employees were forced to model for the brand. During fitting, Z would possibly linger nearby, groping people's system by the... Oh, I didn't know that. Did you guys know that? So after the White Lives Matter thing, that show that he did in that gallery where it was circular, and he debuted the show with what's her name? The black woman, the conservative lady. Modeling agencies refused to work with Yeezy. All modeling agencies across the board didn't want to work with him. So I guess everybody that was walking for Yeezy were either people that they probably street scouted, or maybe independent agencies, or in-house staff. Wow, I didn't know that. Fucking hell, bro. That's the thing about Kanye that I remember not liking, right? I remember during the time towards the end of Adidas, his Adidas Yeezy line, I got really annoyed because I think that was the time when he got obviously cancelled and shit, and the Adidas stuff ended. But the really heartbreaking stuff I remember I'm not sure if this is true, but I remember reading somewhere that Adidas had opened up another factory somewhere. It might have been Portugal, it might have been Turkey, it might have been Romania, somewhere, right? They opened up an extra factory to basically meet the demand of Yeezys, because they were so in demand, they were selling out all the time, and they couldn't produce enough. So they opened up a separate factory only to make Yeezys. And then at the same time when they opened, it obviously helped that local economy and that local community, and everyone that was working there was super happy because they had jobs, and I don't think they had a job in a long time. And then Kanye goes and crashes out, does what he does with the White Lives Matter thing, and Adidas obviously cancelled the thing, and he's what? Oh, I can say what I want about anti-Semitism. I can be I can be an anti-Semite, and Adidas can never cancel me or whatever. And then they cancelled him. He then basically cost everyone their jobs because that factory had to close down because the deal was over. So that's the thing I don't like about him. Like, I get like you say what you want to say, but you also have to be responsible for everybody that kind of works underneath you. You're kind of looking after them. You're their leader. You know what I mean? You basically provide them with a fucking salary that allows them to look after their family. So I feel like sometimes with this kind of freedom of speech thing, I want to say what I want to say thing, I get it, cool, do it, but you also have to be conscious about the people around you. Like, not even his family, because they're set, but the people around him that work with him, like, their careers are on the line with him, and it's just not fair that they have to kind of lose everything because he wakes up one moment and just feels like pissing people off for no point. Do you know what I mean? I didn't like that too much. Anyway, it continues. Z basically sexually assaulted me, the assistant said in a text message reviewed by the journalist, an account corroborated by Yeezy's former senior designer. She declined to comment for this story. Wow. And here's the text messages that she sent. Yeah, what happened? He just came into the trailer when I was alone and came up behind me, started pushing himself, kissing and hugging me. This person says, yeah, that's definitely the shit he does to me. It's disturbing. That's really upsetting. Are you all right? Yeah, I'm fine. It's just not okay. He asked me if I was wearing underwear yesterday. Oh, yeah, you can't say this at work, mate. You can't say this anywhere to anybody that you don't know, but you definitely can't say this at work. God damn it. The former Yeezy senior designer who had been working remotely from France returned to Yeezy for the season's 9 show. Again, they can't keep away. What is it about these people? They can't keep away. Even though Ye is a toxic, even though this environment is bad, it reminds me of Adam 22 at No Jumper. Adam 22 seems like an absolute piece of shit. You can just tell from afar, but people just can't stay away from him. They're always going back for interviews. They're always going back to drop in to do a podcast. They just can't stay away. It's like a moth to a flame. They just cannot resist. Even though they know it's going to be a net negative, they cannot resist. Why? Why? Is it all clout? Is it money? Is that intoxicating that you'll put yourself in harm's way? God damn it. It continues. The former Yeezy designer returned. The former Yeezy senior designer who had been working remotely from France returned to Yeezy for season 9. We have been working in our collective on a collection story since 2020, and Kanye came to Paris furious, demanding that everything be redone. First, he was like, "We're redoing everything." Then he said what to do, and it was really bad with the White Lives Matter shirts. He went in the studio and asked people to do that, and he said anybody who doesn't agree can leave now. So I left. Jesus Christ. The show sparked widespread backlash, effectively severing Kanye's ties with the fashion industry. In the aftermath, employees faced delayed payments, increased hostility, and a toxic environment. Oh, by the way, shout out to that girl that got destroyed during this time, bro. That Vogue journalist. But it also helped her career, that black woman, where Kanye was like trolling her and bullying her on his Instagram, posting a picture of her fit, making people go after her and shit. Fucking hell. Kanye was kind of toxic during that time. He was kind of toxic. The show sparked widespread backlash, effectively severing Kanye's ties with the fashion industry. In the aftermath, employees faced delayed payments, increased hostility, and a toxic environment. In December 2022, the Yeezy former senior designer reached out to Kanye West with a straightforward request to ensure a friend received payment. The conversation quickly escalated into an argument. I called him so that he would pay off my friend. He got angry because I gave his phone number to this guy. We fought. We talked about it, then I hung up. The next day, he called back and apologized, and it seemed like he was going to be nice. The discussion then shifted to Kanye's Paris show. The former Yeezy designer made it clear that he could not work in the same environment again. I told him, I can't work in this environment again. I don't want to see any of that. I can't work in a place like that. Kanye reassured him, we're going to get this strength. We're going to be like a Christian school. What? For the former Yeezy designer, this is a familiar pattern. Kanye acknowledging past issues, promising change. He had always maintained a direct, honest relationship with Kanye in the past, and Kanye admitted things to him had gone too far. He hoped that this time he could be different. So Kanye is like an abusive boyfriend. This is textbook abusive boyfriend behavior, right? Be abusive, profusely apologize, promise it'll be different, get the person back on your good side, then do it again, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. That's probably why people can't help go back. It's like an abusive relationship. A few weeks later, however, Kanye married Bianca Censori. The dynamic within Yeezy shifted. In early 2023, Bianca Censori, now Kanye West's wife, took on a more authoritative role at Yeezy. Employees described her as cutthroat, alleging that she refused to sign contracts, exerted control over every minor yet crucial aspect of the workplace conditions. Yeah, she started to flex her muscle. Okay. Honestly, the perception is deceiving because she doesn't look like that. When you see her, you think she's the nicer one. But in actuality, behind the scenes, it seems like she's the meaner one. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to get from this. I'm getting from this article already. Oh my God. She turned into a demon, says the former senior designer. She wanted to cut lunch breaks for all the seamstress, even though we had to travel 2 hours to get to work every morning. Why is she cutting lunch? Well, I guess what? I guess she's not cutting lunch breaks totally. Maybe the some time, right? Not the whole thing. Why are you cutting lunch breaks? Well, that's weird. Beyond work policies, employees recall unsettling behavior. Bianca was always doing weird stuff like coming into our trailer and asking what we thought about Jews. And one time she even stole my vape. Honestly, working Working at Yeezy must have been a nightmare. It's good for the clout. You can put that in your bio. You walk into the office in sad clothes, baggy clothes, new shoes. You get to steal samples. You get to go. You get to travel. You know. But Jesus Christ, the stress day to day. You don't know if you have a job tomorrow. Bianca Cesare coming in asking you about the Jews, asking you if you watched the latest fucking Nick Fuentes stream. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Beyond internal changes, Bianca allegedly began harassing people outside of Yeezy. Whoa. Oh yeah. Not just the employees, people in their lives too. The former Yeezy designer explains. Since she became Kanye's wife, she would threaten people in LA. Use her position. I got loads of messages of people with bad experiences. Raw, man. Honestly. Bianca Censori, and I think I'm getting a bit confused because the Bianca Censori I see online seems so nice. Like I remember that video of that streamer who rocked up to her and tried to get her number, but he didn't know who she was. He just thought, oh, this is a hot girl. Let me get her number. And she was really nice. She came across really bubbly. She was super polite. She turned him down respectively, in a respectful way, sorry, and kind of kept it moving. And in every interaction I've seen with Ye outside, where he's kind of being stopped for pictures, he's always like, nah. And she's like convincing him, no, just take a picture of the guy. She's really like supportive. Don't take a picture of him. Don't worry, I'll wait here. She seems to be super nice. So I guess there's another side to her, you know? She got that demon in more ways than one. It continues. By February 2023, when the former Yeezy designer returned to LA, extreme working conditions had become the norm. Employees often clocked in 85-hour work weeks, staying up all night to meet Kanye's unreasonable demands. We had to make 3 garments a day, the former senior designer recalled. At one point, he showed us a pair of intricate Balenciaga leather pants and said, see, this is what I want you to make today. I told him that's not going to happen. And he was like, well, maybe tomorrow then. He has no idea how this work is done. But let's be fair, though. You're working 85 hours a week because you're working a dream job. You're not doing it because Kanye is running a slave labor only. You're also doing it because it's a dream job. You're working in fashion because you love working in fashion, and you're working those hours because it's a dream fucking job. You would do anything to be there. You want to impress. You want to have, you want to have something to show for your time there, blah, 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 blah. That's probably half the reason why. I don't think it's all because of him cracking the whip. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure they enjoyed some of the time that they're working. And here's a picture of the Yeezy Atelier. You got a person lying on the floor. Oh, sick. Look at the person lying on the floor. They're wearing those Balenciaga motocross boots from, I think, a few seasons back. I forgot which season it was. But yeah, that's a grail in my list as well. Those Balenciaga motocross boots are so good. Yeezy's financial mismanagement was a persistent issue. Employees frequently went unpaid or received wages months late. Yeah, I've been there, bro. Welcome to freelance world. I went through that with Nike when I went to the fucking 1948 store, and I was there for like 5 years or something, and I don't think we received our payment on time, not once. And the bad thing about working freelance or working as an independent contractor in that sense and having to invoice your payments, if you get it late, you get a massive chunk, and also you're usually it comes without paying taxes. You have to pay taxes yourself, so you get this whole fat lump sum payment months, like maybe let's say a month late. But obviously you then end up getting 2 payments in one, and it ends up making your bank account fat. But then you have to end up catching up on bills, and you end up overspending, or you spend too much too quickly. That's what happened to me anyway. So yes, you get paid well, and it's kind of like cash in hand a little bit. But honestly, I wouldn't go back to freelance, independent contractor work ever again. Salute to everybody out there that does it. I commend you. But that part of like not knowing when you're going to get paid for your work, it's heartbreaking. And I'm super like, weird about money and shit and not being paid, and it'd make me crash out. And I couldn't trust myself with what I would do to get my money. Do you know what I mean? I'm gonna see red. So I'd rather just not do it. I'd rather just have a regular job, work somewhere 9 to 5 or whatever, make my money and do it that way, and not work in my dream career, because that freelance shit, having to invoice and waiting for that payment to come through. That hurts, bro. No matter what you put on the fucking invoice, you bold the terms. Invoice must be paid within 35 days in lieu. Whatever you write, it doesn't matter. Whenever they decide to pay, they'll pay it. It's brutal, honestly. I commend anybody out there that works freelance and gets paid via invoice. You guys are soldiers. I couldn't do it. I really couldn't do it. The company also refused to sign contracts, making it easy to withhold payments. Bianca refused to sign my contract because that's what they do. They don't want to sign contracts so they don't pay people. Yeah, they want to hang over your head in it. If you complain about anything, you could be sure someone would tell you, and then it would be over. And there will be no protections. One of the darkest revelations from Yeezy's workplace culture that year would be its handling of the sexual assault allegations. After a female employee allegedly was assaulted by another assistant, the team was gathered for a meeting where the ex-CEO of Yeezy, Cristiano Minchio, allegedly downplayed the assault, stating, wow, that he didn't want them to get the wrong idea that they reminded him of his daughters. What? The CEO of Yeezy, the former one, Cristiano Menchio, right, allegedly downplayed the assault, stating he didn't want them to get the wrong idea and that they reminded him of his daughters. Huh? Instead of holding the perpetrator accountable, the victims were fired. Oh my God. In text reviewed by the journalist, Yeezy's ex-CEO believes the decision came from Kanye directly. Kanye fired the victims of sexual assault as opposed to the perpetrator of the sexual assault. Yo, my goat is going out mad sad, man. My goat is going out mad sad. Yo, big up Mr. Bob. Big up Mr. Bob. Big up Mr. Bob. Bianca's family in Australia are legit gangsters. Really? In Australia are legit known gangsters. Really? Is that true? Well, the name is very Italian-y, isn't it? And I know Australia, there's a lot of like mobs and mafias and stuff. You know, they don't play around over there. But I didn't know that. Really? Is that true? That also might explain how she carries herself. She's very self-assured. She seems very comfortable in her own skin. That's somebody that's kind of grown up in either harsh environments or has been around some dicey people. You know what I mean? But yeah, okay, cool. I didn't know that. Fucking hell. They fired the women because they were assaulted, said the former senior designer. It was really dark and nobody said anything. That was the culture of looking the other way. Beyond the financial exploitation, the workplace harassment, Yeezy's grueling work culture took a severe toll on the employees' mental and physical well-being. Messages from the internal group chat labeled Yeezy Design reveal Kanye's relentless expectation for round-the-clock production. In one message, Kanye explicitly demands that the studio operate without pause. What? The studio needs to be 24/7, 7 days a week like the internet. I love Kanye, man. Honestly, he's such a psycho. How can people work 24/7, 7 days a week? How is that even possible? Like, you're sleeping, but you're telling us to work 24/7. Okay. He insists on a system of rotating shifts, appointing designated heads for both day and night crews to ensure continuous workflow. You know what? This stinks like Steve Jobs. This stinks of somebody recently reading the Steve Jobs autobiography or being made aware of Steve Jobs' work culture at Apple. This is the remnants of his legacy. RIP to Steve Jobs, the GOAT. But I think the remnants of his legacy and his design ethos and how he approached running his company has had a negative effect on, obviously, culture in general. And one of this is this sort of stuff. This round-the-clock, relentless, push yourself, unrealistic expectations to push people to do certain things. You know, because everyone's heard of those anecdotes about how they designed the iPhone and how Steve Jobs was pushing the designers to design something flat and whatever it may be, and gave them an unrealistic deadline of like a week, which then made them really try really hard. Even though they didn't complete in a week, they got really far. And it was kind of like a test, a lesson to be learned of how much you can actually do if you really push yourself. Blah 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 blah. But it does create a lot of toxicity, I'd imagine. But a part of me also thinks that would be fun to work in. I'm not gonna lie. And that's maybe me being toxic too. But a part of me thinks it'll be fun to work at Yeezy and have that fucking, have that pressure on you. Also knowing that you're working directly with somebody that you look up to. A lot of your work will be seen by millions of people around the world. Like, I don't know. There's something of a unique challenge there that would also be appealing to a lot of people, which I'm assuming is why they have a never-ending rotating cast of designers there. It continues. Here's a screenshot of the group chat at Yeezy Design. From iMessage, it says, I want to heart this. Only problem is we need 24-hour studios. Studio needs to be 24/7, 7 days a week like the internet. We need to ahead of day shift, ahead of night shift. I love how Ye texts the same way he fucking writes tweets. These massive gaps in between the lines. Starting Tom, 24/7 will be implemented as a plan by the team. Wow. The pressure of designers was immense. In another message, Kanye singles out two members of his team, ex-senior designer and the female designer who had been sexually assaulted, writing, "We need to sketch to death. I was exhausted. I weighed 55 kilograms at 1.90 meters tall," said the senior designer. The female designer was throwing up every morning from stress. The same female designer now suffers from panic attacks. Ugh. But hey, to be fair, as grueling as it is, that's also a good representation of how much pressure it will be working in the fashion industry anyway. I'd imagine. If you're working for a big designer or big luxury house, you're probably under the same levels of stress anyway, you know? So it's probably a good testing ground. As toxic as it is, as insane as it sounds, it's probably a good way to sort of learn if this is for you or not. You know, if you really want to work for a brand, or do you want to do your own thing and work at your own pace, or just change careers. You know, you kind of get thrown in the deep end. We were so overworked, the former designer says. I had psychotic episodes. In March 2023, overwhelmed and exhausted, he attempted to take his own life. Oh, okay. Now that's dark. Okay, that's a bit too much. In March 2023, overwhelmed and exhausted, he attempted to take his own life. Ugh. Kanye, bro. Kanye. My guy, Ye. What the fuck are you doing? You're pushing people to the brink of unaliving themselves. Ugh. I went back to the hotel and tried to unalive myself. My brain was switched off to autopilot. Everyone was screaming at each other, like usual. I grabbed my stuff, took an Uber to the hotel, swallowed an entire box of antidepressant and anxiety meds. When I woke up, it was the middle of the night. I just thought, oh shit, I have to get back to work. Oh no. Everything moves so fast, there's no time to process anything. Imagine trying to OD and then you wake up in time for work. That would make you want to OD. That would induce an OD, honestly. My God. When he was connected with a doctor, but when he heard that the designer Gosha Ruchinsky, accused of allegedly assisting and releasing images from a minor, would be joining Yeezy, he made a final exit, blocking Kanye on his way out. Reflecting on his time at Yeezy, the former designer says he had no illusions. At the beginning, it was really amazing, but it was terrible for my health. When asked what he would do, what they would say to future Yeezy employees, don't go, it's not worth it, it's not safe. Behind Yeezy's sleek image lay a toxic culture of dreams, crushed the dreams of those who work there. Young, eager, and talented individuals drawn to LA by the hype of working with Kanye quickly realized that their environment, their power was abused and safety was an afterthought. And speaking out meant facing retaliation. What was promised as a creative freedom became a cycle of exploitation with no regard on workers' well-being. Under Kanye's direction, Yeezy became a textbook example of how the fashion industry uses its workers as fuel for a machine that prioritizes output over people. Later, with Bianca Censori taking a more prominent role, toxic culture deepened, further exacerbating the power imbalances, abuses, and mistreatment. Even now, some employees continue to return, unable to break free from the brand's toxic grip. Yeezy's environment was designed to make employees feel indispensable yet disposable, keeping them in a state of uncertainty and dependency. Many are reluctant to speak on the record for fear of retaliation and damage of their careers. In the end, Yeezy's legacy is not just one of fashion innovation, but of the cost of exploitation people and the sake of celebrity-driven ambition. But to be fair, I think this applies across the board. To be fair, I don't think he's the only one. I think most players, didn't I see a report recently about Phoebe Philo? I think it might have been a Glassdoor. Glassdoor is that site where you can rate your workplace and leave reviews. And I think Glassdoor had some fairly, very, very non-positive reviews about Phoebe Philo and working at that studio. And everyone basically warning people, hey, don't go. Yes, she's a legend. Yes, we remember her work at Celine. Yes, she's a pioneer, but allegedly the studio is, super, super toxic. But I think a lot of brands are like that. There's another brand too. This other lady, I forgot her name. She's almost got like a Greek-sounding name, whatever. I heard she's also, a little bit of a tyrant when it comes to working with Tina, allegedly. So I think it's just a thing that happens across the board with designers and shit, unfortunately. Especially if you're working with them directly with these small brand source studios and stuff. The only person I've heard good things about in terms of fashion studios, interning and shit, is Charles Jeffrey. He's the only one that I've heard really good things about. People always rave about how good it is to work there, great experience, great culture, team, blah, 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 blah. But I'd imagine most fashion studios, brands are pretty toxic and the pressure is unrelenting. But obviously you get an amazing experience, especially if you're working for a small brand. You get to actually be directly involved in the making of certain things, etc., etc., etc. So as bad and sad as it is, I understand why people go there. I really do understand why people go there. It's just a shame that it ends up being the way it is for these type of people. But hey, what can you do? What can you do? Anyways, my friends, I have to jet off. And today was a short episode, I know. Apologies. I'm a bit of a short episode today. Probably my shortest I've ever done. But I have to jet off. I'm going to flipping Birmingham, the failed state that is Birmingham, in a few hours. So, gotta get ready and shit. But thank you for tuning in. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. Make sure you smash the like button if you're watching this live. For those of you who are listening to via the podcasting app, my song of the day is going to be the Hoodoo Gurus, I Want You Back. Hoodoo Gurus playing underneath my voice, I Want You Back. Listen to the song. Absolutely amazing. Great band. You know them. Big up Hoodoo Gurus. Everybody else watching, make sure you like. If you're listening, leave me a 5-star review. Links to my socials are down below as well. And I'll see you guys again very, very soon. But for now, take care. Be safe. Peace.